That's one. Move that junk.
She's making a couple copies of the agenda, but food one. No.
Yes, that hurts. Sorry to hear you got into. Are you going to lead us in the pledge of allegiance?
I'd like to call to order a special meeting of the Township Supervisor and Board of Trustees for Wednesday, January 24th at 7 p.m.
Thank you.
Lead us in the pledge of allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, would you call the roll for quorum?
Trustee Braxton. Here. Trustee Ransom. Here. Trustee Savage.
Here.
Trustee Townsend is running late. Supervisor Marshall.
Here. Next item is the approval of the agenda. There is one item that I'd like to make a motion to change, and that we will not be going into executive session. All discussion on the food pantry and everything will be in open session. I entertain a motion to change that.
I motion to delete the executive session from the agenda.
I'll second.
Any discussion? If not, will you please call the roll?
Trustee Braxton.
Aye.
Trustee Ransom.
Aye.
Trustee Savage.
Aye.
Supervisor Marshall.
Aye.
Passed.
Next, I will entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
I move that we approve the agenda.
Any discussion? If not, please call the roll.
Trustee Braxton.
Aye.
Trustee Ransom.
Aye.
Trustee Savage.
Aye.
Supervisor Marshall.
Next thing is public comment. Anyone, it is open to anyone wanting to speak for 3 minutes, one time during the meeting. Is there anyone who wants to make public comments? Anyone wanting to make public comment? Going once? Going twice? Okay. Then the public comment section is suspended. Supervisor report, food pantry. Okay. One of the reasons we all call this is because we could have a discussion then on what happened last night at the village board meeting as far as food pantry. In my opinion, it was just as bad as the meeting in October before the zoning and planning committee. It was a farce. We were not informed by the village that they were making a motion to remand it to the zoning planning. Actually, in effect, I had indicated to the mayor and everyone that we did not want it remanded to the planning and zoning committee. And one of the basic reasons why we did not want to have it remanded was because we do not feel, and this is my opinion, okay, we do not feel that we can get a fair hearing from the zoning and planning committee with Mir Ali as the chair and Matt Eastman as the director. We have this application has been in the village for a year now. Every time we go and submit things to the village. They come back and have questions and concerns. We then answer those questions and concerns. And then all of a sudden, there's a new list of questions and concerns. And then we answer those lists of questions and concerns. And then there is a new list of questions and concerns. And it has gone on for over a year now, with backing and everything. Actually, what was supposed to happen, and we did, in late December, I and our attorney met with Matt Eastman, the mayor, Rick O'Min, who is one of the village administrators, Ross Seckler, who is the village attorney, and this was actually requested by the mayor that we go over the list to make sure that everything was covered and everything had been answered. And at that time, everything had been answered. And then all of a sudden, in early January, another set of questions and concerns. Now, we had referred our answers on December 15th. They came back 27 days later with their concerns. And that was on the 11th of January, which was actually 11 days before the hearing, before the board. We then answered the hearing, and at last night's meeting, Bert Olson, who is the village attorney, complained that we had submitted these things at the last minute. Now, it took them 27 days to answer our answer, to go over our answers. Then all of a sudden, we answered them back within 11 days, and that's too long. Okay. You want to say
Can I
that?
just say just one thing? This what you were just talking about. When we were answering back from the January 11th, from the letter that they got yesterday, wasn't it really kind of, some of the things was a recap? It was things that we had already given them.
We had
It wasn't brand new things, though.
the township has spent close to $20,000 on traffic studies. Initially, we didn't think a traffic study was necessary. Then they told us it was necessary. So the problem was, we had never dealt with a firm doing traffic studies. So we contacted the village and asked them for recommendations. They gave us the names of people who do traffic studies for the village. We contacted them and contracted them to do the traffic study. They came back with the traffic study and said basically there was no problem at the food pantry.
You would also want to add that we confirmed with the village what items the traffic study company was going to do, and would that satisfy us? And I have it in an email, in writing, that Matt Eastman and, what's his name,
Askowitz or something like that.
yeah, both
The
said,
village engineer.
village engineer, both said, everything that traffic study company was going to do would be fine.
The problem is that they did not, the results that the traffic study company came back with did not please the zoning and planning committee. So they then went out to another traffic study company to try to then knock down our traffic study.
And that's when we found out at that meeting in October, right?
What?
That was in the summer.
This was in the summer. This
You
is
know, in the October meeting, everyone came up about the traffic study.
And the thing is, we had FOIA'd the village as far as traffic studies, okay? From 2018 to 2023, the village had only 7 traffic studies done in the entire village, okay? Now, if you want to look at what would require a traffic study, we'd asked the village, why didn't they require a traffic study for this Cosmic, McDonald's thing? Oh, they said they were just rebuilding a restaurant. They weren't required to do it. They didn't want to do it. Okay. So what it comes out to be, we even had to go and do a traffic study in Romeoville for Bowling Brook at our old location for the food pantry. And then the director from of development actually went down there to try to count cars himself. He went down there during the daytime, during his count cars. What the problem has always been with the traffic studies is that the results have not complied with what they want. So they have demanded more and more. We had subsequent traffic studies. They said, well, you did it the wrong hours, even though they had approved the hours we did it. So we changed it and did the hours during the school. And all this other thing. I mean, time after time we have complied with what their requests were, and every time they have found a problem. Okay? And so what it comes out is that, you know, we're talking about litigation. Okay? And we can, we're not going into executive session, but we can talk about litigation in open session, anything going. And it's funny, I also found out about that this is not the first time the village would be accused of discrimination. In 2011, a church that wanted to set up in the shopping center at Route 53 and I-55 sued in federal court the village because of all the red tape and everything they were requiring this church to go through to try to get into one of the buildings in that shopping center. And the judgment was in favor of the church, of course. Okay? And the only reason that I have heard as to why they were opposed to this church was Roger Clark's declaration several years ago that Bolingbrook has too many churches. Okay? So this is the kind of thing that we're going through. And, our estimation is that they're not going to stop. This remand to the Planning Commission, I don't even know if there is anything on record where they've ever remanded a thing back to the planning and zoning. And it wasn't our request. It was their mandate because we actually said we did not want it. We wanted to vote. Okay? And they didn't want to take it. So, they have, if you remember initially, the entire thing was Bolingbrook didn't need a food pantry.
I remember that
Okay.
exactly.
They
That's
said,
the reason.
the village has admitted that
Enough
they do need it.
churches. They said that we have enough churches that are giving out food. We don't need another food pantry.
The hours of our,
Even though it's not another food.
Right. It's
yes,
the movie.
the thing is that they have basically, and I have told this to the top echelon at the village, you have already admitted that we need a food pantry by using the excuse that the traffic is going to be so bad at the food pantry with all the people using it, tells us that there is a great need for the food pantry. So they have admitted that. Okay? Last night I was appalled to hear about all these traffic accidents at the corner of Cumberland.
Lily Cashman.
So I have a question regarding that. So someone brought up the fact that there was 80 accidents at that corner. So isn't that a problem already? Forget the food pantry. If you had 80 accidents at that intersection, shouldn't something be done about that?
Well, the problem is that
That's an issue
the
itself.
entity that is supposed to take care of those traffic lights and everything in those kind of situations happens to be the village of Bolingbrook. And they haven't done it. So if there is such a need for, traffic lights and everything at Canterbury and Lily Hatch, why the heck hasn't the village put
That's
that?
something.
Another thing is, I complained to the village about, is Canterbury Lane itself. If you go down Canterbury Lane, a half a block down to the ice rink, okay, you got cars parked all over the place in pitch black
Yes.
weather.
Ice and the bus, and yes. it's
And
dark
kids.
Right there, and when you're driving through, some of the people from the ice rink, they're trying to cross the street, it gets very dangerous.
It gets very dangerous because you have 8, 9, 10-year-old little boys that are running
And it's dark.
through the thing, because they want to get into the ice rink for practice and that. And,
Was there a traffic study done on that ice rink before they got to build that? No?
well, it never happened because the owner of the ice rink happens to be a bosom buddy of the former mayor.
The renter, he's a renter, he's not.
Yeah, the actual, you know, there is an accident there. Okay, you know who's responsible? It's the village, because they own the ice rink. That ice rink is not owned by a private, company. They rent it out.
A 99-year lease they were given on Rogers, way out the door, farewell gift.
Mhm.
Why would the village need an ice rink?
It was the way originally, and when that didn't do as well as they thought, they closed it down, and then a friend of the former mayor turned it into an ice rink, and he got one heck of a deal for rent.
Excuse me.
Yes, can I have, because I already said I own the, okay.
But the key being, if someone.
Sure what this
if
has to do
a
with
kid
township
is
business.
running across the street with a little car, and I can tell you right now, I know how bad it is there. So when I come to a meeting here in the evening and that, I'm crawling for that area. Because I've had dozens of kids running out there, because you can tell little boys, hey, don't run, and they will listen maybe 1% of the time.
Look, Linda,
And little girls.
he thinks so. Thank you.
The key being.
Thinks only
that
boys play
the vast
hockey.
majority of kids going there are boys.
And if you haven't noticed, there's about 20 residents from the subdivision over there, the townhouse,
Mhm.
that park in the village parking lot where the community center is. So clearly, the road isn't that busy if people are willing to walk from their house across Canterbury to go to a parking space in the village parking lot.
Well, if you look, one of the things was they were so concerned about, about township employees having to walk from the Navy Center over to the, food pantry. If you would look at the, village parking lot, when they park in the village parking lot, it's a longer walk from there to their offices than it is from there. But this absolute concern on their part for employees is really touching.
Are they still not clear on how many parking spots?
No.
We're gonna get? Because there seems to be some discrepancies in some of the information.
No, we see there are village requirements as far as how many parking spots you need. We exceed the requirements. But they are complaining that the number of people coming in will exceed the number of parking spots. They will not concede that we will have public transportation, which we have contracted with Metro and Pace and everything, and that we can also deliver people on our own buses during the time. We're only talking right now about the food pantry being open to the public 12 hours a week. 12 hours a week. And they're concerned about this huge traffic that they're turning around. And they also were worried, well, we're going to go into where kids are walking by the food pantry. And they were acting like, we have a strip joint in the place, and that the kids are going to be grabbed by the people.
Okay, so supervisor, so these are all just names, right?
Yeah.
This may happen.
These are things that people have brought up as potential things
Right,
that will go wrong.
as part of the zoning committee, they have clear direction, right?
Yes.
On what they should look at. So all this other stuff, I'm just trying to understand, how does that factor in? That's just,
In our
that's
mind,
just coming up with things that could possibly happen. We can
in
do
our
that all day.
mind, it doesn't factor in, but in their minds, because you have to remember that they've been in charge for 32 years straight. So, and they were in charge of every other government entity in the area. They control the school board, they control the library, the park district, and up until 3 years ago, they controlled the township. They do not know how to deal with another government agency that is not under their control. That is impossible. And what I'm saying now is nothing more than what I have told the mayor and the other people in the village. Okay? It was just like when we came to office, we found out that our aerator in the pond in the back, okay, that the pond is owned by the village, okay, and yet the aerator in it, the township had to purchase. And why? Because Roger told the township they had to purchase it, okay? And then I also found out that the aerator was tied into our electrical system. And when I talked to the village owner, I told them, I said, we're not going to pay for an aerator for the village pond. And they just ignored it. So I shut down the aerator. And then pulled it out of the pond. But these kind of things that have been happening for, I guess you would call it decades, you know, it doesn't seem to matter to them now that they are no longer in charge of it.
Well, I think, Gary, one of the things that I see is that I don't know, we'll have to probably go to litigation because they believe that, much like other things like churches, that there are too many food pantries and people do not see a need for this because everybody gets out food, but that there is a huge need and an even greater coming need with the way the economy is. So people need to eat, and the other thing that came in the October meeting was that we were going to have people showering, God forbid, and washing their clothes as if that's a horrible thing. And we're going to have all these panhandlers everywhere, and it's just going to turn into a whole thing, even though those individuals are still here as we speak. And now they're all going to be just at the food pantry because we moved it here. That makes no sense, but that's what they think. And the fact that they don't believe there's a need, I think probably they should go to all the food pantries and see what the need is, because people need food. Children need food. And I don't know why it's such an ordeal. It's not an additional food pantry. We are moving it to where the need was because more people here in Bolingbrook use it in this area than in Romeoville. We're not excluding the Romeoville people. We still want them to come here and use it. We'll even bus them in order to be able to use it. But I don't think we can do anything else because they just don't believe there's a need.
Well, talking about the homeless, okay, I have in writing from the police chief, basically implying that homeless people are criminals, okay, and that when you have homeless people around, you have more crime.
But the problem is, our homeless people are here now, today.
Yeah, but the thing about it is, statistics show that the homeless people are not perpetrators of crime. They are, in the majority, they are the victims of crime. Okay? People victimize homeless people. You see in the news all the time about people actually throwing gasoline on homeless people and, and robbing them and raping them. This is, the attitude that the village is basically extremely prejudiced against homeless people.
Well, I would never dispute Chief Rompa, but, I would like to see data on that as to all the homeless people that are causing all this crime, and just like any individuals, crime in any area is possible, whether they're homeless or not. Maybe we had somebody sitting out here for all kinds of months at a time, and they haven't done anything to the building, such that the crime factor doesn't seem to be a factor, at least in that individual that we've seen in all our meetings that has been sitting out there, that thankfully is not right now because it's great weather.
Yeah, you have to also realize that you cannot discriminate against the homeless. That is against federal law. And obviously, the administration in Bolingbrook has not read the law.
You mentioned the police.
Yes, they basically, we asked them, they asked for more security information for the food pantry. So we asked them exactly, well, what do you want us to do? Okay, fences or anything? No, what they want is to be guaranteed that the homeless would not pitch up a tent at the food pantry.
Well, we aren't going to be living at the food pantry. The food pantry isn't open 24 hours a day.
No, they're worried about them pitching tents. And as I told the street, yeah,
They don't pitch tents now as homeless people, so I find that hard to believe.
you know, believe it or not, you have a homeless person that basically actually goes from the township here to the village and back and forth at times. We have one homeless person that does that, and he pitches a tent over by a pond, and then he'll be gone for a couple of days over there. What it comes out to be is, if a homeless person went next door and pitched his tent on our land, the township land, by law, we cannot do anything about that. Okay? There is nothing we can do. Okay? And the police know that. And they also know that there is no such thing as we can guarantee. I mean, the village has a huge lawn in front of their parking spot. Okay? Could they stop homeless people from going on that thing and pitching a tent net? No, they can't. It's by law. They can do that. It's public land.
Unless the person was doing something that required them to do.
If you have private land, no, they can't do it on private land. But on public land, they have every right to do it. We, of course, will never encourage that. The village does not encourage that. But I can tell you right now, we can't guarantee anything like that. Now, they think that they have implied that the food pantry will create crime. That they will have to have more policing of the thing. At our Romeoville site right now, that's been there for 15 years or so, we have never had one police call at the food pantry. Not one. Okay. We had fire department calls where people would faint or they would be ill or something like that, but we've never had a police call. Okay. The other concern that they came up with was what we call wraparound services. Okay. And they were concerned about what services we would be offering in addition to the food pantry. Well, let me tell you, townships are governed by the state legislature. There is a section of the state code that's called Township Code. It tells us exactly what we can do and what we can't do. Okay? That code is not written by the village. It's written by the state legislature. By the way, who also writes the rules for municipalities. Okay? So what it comes out to be is all these questions about wraparound services. And let me tell you what some of the wraparound services they were concerned with. We have the Veterans Administration come in once a week and basically meet with destitute veterans to help them get services and also benefits. I guess they want to have veterans hanging about. Okay. We also have the LIHEAP service that comes in every Monday. And LIHEAP stands for Low Income Home Energy Assistance Program. And what it is, it's a state program that helps people with their utilities, specifically for heating with either natural gas or electricity. I think in 2022 or 2023, we served like 940 families with that.
Now, don't we do that here at the township?
Yes,
And have we had many police
these are all
services
services.
times?
These are all services that we provide, the residents and the citizens right now. However, what it comes out to be is they are totally ignorant as to what we do and what services we provide.
But in terms of those services, because they're over here, have we had the police call and there's been incidents because of people
No, we never.
living there?
well, since I've been supervisor, we've never had an incident, and talking to Felix George and, Bill Mayer, who's the previous one, they've never had any incident.
Moving it down the street, though, would increase the risk.
What?
Moving it down the street a ways would cause more risk, is that what they're saying?
I guess that's what they think. The reason we want to move it to there.
Yeah, those are those assumptions that are being made. Things could happen.
And another thing,
But somebody made a comment last night, just the fact that when we're talking about safety, the police station is down the street. Why is safety an issue at the point?
And they do respond very quickly. Around the whole village.
yeah. You know, the thing comes
Absolutely.
in mind.
This is
They're constantly, this is what happens. They have a set of concerns, you meet their concerns, and then they have another set of concerns. And you meet those concerns, and then they have another one, and another.
I would also point out, and I wish I would have had this copy of the agenda in front of me last minute, they did not follow their own agenda. There should have been absolutely no motion until after the public comment.
Didn't I tell you that?
Yeah, they don't follow their own agenda, which is probably a violation of something, but, they don't follow their own ordinance. There are 12 items that they're supposed to look at the Planning and Zoning Commission. And they're in the letter, we flew through all those with flying colors. They've never visited the existing pantry. I mean, I sat on the land use committee at the county, I go to the property that we're gonna talk about and look at it. If there's any question about whether or not it should be allowed, you go look at it.
And I have personally invited them
Yes.
several times. And another thing is, people ask about the location, okay? This location was chosen after 18 months of searching, okay? Our first area that we wanted it to be is on the north side of the administration building. That vacant area between the what is it called? Community center and
The township.
and the township is more than adequate space with parking and everything for the food pantry. However, half of the area is owned by the village of Bolingbrook. Okay? We approached Bolingbrook initially asking if they would, deed us the land so that we could build it there. Absolutely refused, without any. I asked the village board if we could have a meeting, be put on the agenda on the village board. They absolutely refused. They said their agendas were too busy to allow us. Now they can have Boy Scout awards, they can have Halloween decoration awards on the agenda, they can have Christmas on the agenda, awards on the agenda, they can have all that. But with feeding people in the township, all of a sudden, that's not a priority. Okay. And another thing I wanted to mention that was getting me a little irritated last night, and that is all this, well, I'm not against feeding people in need, but, okay, that's the same thing that says, well, I don't
Excuse me,
discriminate.
sir, but I am here, right here looking at you, listening to all this, and I'm sorry to interrupt or be rude, but all this he say, she say, they, them, those, it's so inappropriate for this meeting. It's supposed to be dealing with
Food pantry.
correct, and it is not.
And let me tell you, last night, there was about a dozen people who kept saying that, no, I'm not against feeding the needy, but the location is bad.
Correct.
They don't know anything about the location.
Yes, I do.
Okay, we started
20
out.
years, sir.
Okay.
Tells me about the location. It does.
We started out with the location that we wanted to build it next to our administration building.
Okay, well, there you go.
Please,
And don't say
you're out of order.
Well, there is no order here.
Yes, there is.
No, there is
You had
not.
an opportunity to speak
Yeah.
during public comment. You are out of order.
Yeah, okay. And all this he say,
So,
she say
okay,
is
so
order?
the next thing that we did was, when the village absolutely refused to give us the land so we could build it there, okay, we then looked around, the village as far as vacant buildings. The one that was that especially was looking good was over at Mr. Achu's. Yeah, it is the shopping center at Route 53 and I-55. We discussed with them intensely about renting some space or buildings in there. They wanted nothing to do with it. They do not want to have any 501c3 or any nonprofit or anything that does not produce sales tax in that area. We went along Route 53. There was absolutely nothing else along Route 53. And the reason we're talking about Route 53 and not Weber Road is because there has been census data and there has been all sorts of, the county has put together all sorts of reports as to where the needs are in the county. There are basically two areas of need in the county, and that is one, Joliet, okay, and the second one is Canterbury East in DuPage Township. Okay, if you're talking about the two, you're talking about Ringleaf, you're talking about Old or Historic Square, you're talking about the two, yeah, and we're talking about all those. That's where the people who are using the food pantry come from. And the idea is to bring services to them, not to have them go track down to Romeo. We tried that. We couldn't find anything that where they would lease it and everything else like that. So then the third thing was we looked, and this we were told by the administration in the village, well, you should look for another site besides the one between the community center and the township. So we did. Okay.
Yeah, for help.
Yeah.
And they ignored it.
Yeah, they wouldn't help us look. He said, could you talk to someone of the thing? No. Okay, so then we started looking at the vacant lots on Lily Cash, and the thing about it was the vacant lots that are farther east, okay? You're talking about those lots with the same size as we got now. They're wanting $1.6 and $1.7 million per lot, okay? This one was $685,000 for the lot that we have. So, and also, it is within a half a block of our parking lot. It is within a block of our administration building. We now have employees down in Romeoville that is like 5 or 6 miles away that we have now. This would take everything within our center. So therefore, that's why we went with that. Okay, and we went for several months. We signed the contract, and we waited, and worked with the village to get zoning, and we couldn't get it. So we then went ahead to make sure that we got the land, and we purchased it. It is now township land. Okay. Now you also have to remember, if you go into a shopping center and you go in and take over an empty building or everything, you basically take that off the tax rolls. Okay? So the taxpayers then lose a portion of the taxes that would come from if a business went in there. This land right here that we're on right now is zone B1. B1 zoning, one of the criteria for B1 zoning is you can have a food store on a B1. So it would be within the zoning requirements and everything. Okay? But even with that, the village still said, well, you still need a special use permit. Okay? So this has been going down the road, and it's come to the point where it's not really. As far as transparency on the issue, if you look at our newsletters, of our newsletters, 6 of them, the front page has a story about a food pantry. When we ran for office in 2021, okay, We had it in our literature, and we had it in our discussion hearing, that we wanted a second food pantry in Boulder. It was part of our thing, and people knew that was what we were for. Okay, now, when we got in, when we looked at the finances of the second thing, it was obvious we could not afford to have two food pantries in the township locations because it was too expensive. As far as taxes on this thing, the entire project is being funded by grants.
Can you repeat that?
The entire project is being funded by grants. We have
It's code for tax money.
$3 million grant from the federal government. We have a
And what do they get?
$500,000 grant from the state, or is it more?
$500,000 from the county.
And $500,000 from the county. Okay, and then we have the building down in Romeo that would be sold to take up any of the rest. So we would not increase the tax levy in the township by 1 penny. And that was what our criteria was at the very, very
When you're
beginning,
trying to
is
move.
that we were not going to increase the levy for the food pantry.
But the grants are still tax money.
What?
But the grants still come from taxpayer dollars.
Yes,
Okay?
right, federal,
I pay
state,
federal
county.
taxes. Yeah, yeah.
And you know what? If we didn't get that $3 million from the feds, we'd probably go to Alabama.
It's not free money.
What?
It's not free money. It's taxpayer money.
When you say free money, what would you prefer? Us to raise the levy, to pay for $3 million, or to get a grant from
Is this
the
the part
federal
where they
government?
tell us they reduce the levy?
Because
Because
every
it
other
didn't.
state gets federal money as well for various projects, and
Where do you,
why not us?
the village got $9 million in ARPA funds from the federal government. I didn't hear anybody complaining that they took $9 million from the ARPA funds. Huh? They don't
Maybe
even know.
people don't know that, though.
Yeah, we don't even know what they spend it on. But they got $9 million from the federal government, okay? So why is it wrong for the township to go for grants and it isn't wrong for the village and everyone else to do it?
I'm not saying that it's wrong for the village to get this. If that's the case, I question how all taxpayer money is spent. Okay? The village, township, wherever.
Right.
It's not free money. It comes from taxpayers.
Right, it comes from taxpayers.
It's gonna be spent regardless, so as you said, do you want it to go to Alabama, or do you want it to stay here in Illinois?
Yeah, why not?
And also from the state money. do
We
want
are
it to
being
go to-
taxed out of our homes and businesses.
You say your tax levy, see, that's property taxes, and that's the tax levy, and that's what we said, we were not,
That's
you know,
what you
that
reduce the levy.
the
Yeah.
township levy
That means property.
0.7%, 0.7% of the total tax levy on the tax. It is one of the lowest, the normal for townships is 2.6%. We are at 0.7%, okay? We are extremely frugal as far as our tax levy and what we use. And that's why we specifically have gone out and gotten grants to pay for these projects. Because first of all, it is our tax money and we're not getting it because all these other projects are getting it and we're not. So we have an aggressive, program to go out and look for grants, not only from the federal, state, and local government, but also from private entities. We have a grant of $101,000 from the Northern Illinois Food Bank to help us with getting equipment and a driver for food deliveries and everything. So we're very aggressive on that, and we do not apologize for it at all, because if we don't get it, then someone else is going to get it. And we deserve it just as well as everyone else.
More so, because we got the award.
Yeah.
And I think our people here in Bolingbrook who get that money because they appropriated that money at the federal level. So why not us here in Bolingbrook and our people here who are in need, of which probably none of us in this room fall into that category?
Well, that's why we have high inflation, because government spends money.
Well, on both
And that's
sides.
why there's an increased need for people to take advantage of food pantries because of inflation and high taxes and spending.
Free money.
It's not free money. We wind up paying for it.
Oh, we've established that, so
Good,
that's okay. That you have your thoughts and we have our thoughts.
indeed. Don't matter.
But it just occurs to me that the money we're talking about, we had to apply for it. There's a whole, what's the regimen, Jackie, we had to go through for the application to get the government grant? But there was a process that we had to go through to apply for that grant. It has dozens of pages of stipulations on it. It's not, we're not handing a bag of money. What we're given authorization to do is have access to funding specifically for a project that's very tightly defined, that's already accounted for and earmarked in the government budget. Now, we were awarded this because of our application and the quality of the project as it was defined. Now, another entity, another municipality, another county, somewhere else may have applied and didn't get it. Our application won the day, so we offered this money, but this money was already budgeted in the federal budget for this purpose. So we applied for it, we got it. So that's the main thing. Now, the other one, the ARPA funds, $500,000, came through, that's part of it. The village just last night, at the meeting, they announced a big chunk of money they received in ARPA funds.
That was actually, I approved that money.
Okay, that came through the county, yeah, right? But-
Yes, and I was in the leadership committee that agreed to give them that money.
Right.
Sounds like a conflict of
And-
interest.
And yes, it's true, we're all paying taxes at all levels, or at the federal level, state level, and the local level. But the point of paying taxes is for the common good. That's why we do what we do. And that's why we're here, and that's all of our concerns. And so that's why we're doing this. And, it's not free money, there is no free money. You're right. But the reason, going back to the 1700s, there was a definition of the public commons. Back in those days, we had a farm, and it was a common pasture where the cows and such could graze on. It was called the commons. Everybody contributed to it. And from that concept grew what we're doing now. And so in a country of 340 million people, we share a tax pot. And people with best intentions under a mountain of rules to be qualified for it, we choose how to spend that money. We collectively. And that's how that's done. So this money was already budgeted for that purpose. We applied, and we were able to get it. So now we're able to do what we're talking about here. Our immediate concern is the issues that the Village Planning Commission has put in front of us that causes the trip up, which from the beginning is fueled by animosity toward, we're told directly that the problem is very the same, but too many homeless people would congregate there. There is no evidence anywhere to support that. There's been a food pantry in a truck garage in Romeoville, which has been doing whatever it can do for the last 15 years. And that's, they've never had a police call. They've never had an issue. And there's no reason to suggest that they might. So, the point is the same. The money was budgeted for that purpose, it was available to us, we applied, we were going to get it. So,
I will say that police come to our pantry when they find a resident in need or in trouble that doesn't have transportation or a way to get their food. And they literally drive down to our pantry because we are.
That's a code enforcement officer for a blind
And they
lady.
get food from our
Not the
pantry
police.
and bring
Our
it
kids
back
went
up here
down.
to Bolingbrook to the resident that needs help. I actually personally witnessed it.
Yeah.
I would
One
have
person.
not ever known that they did something like that. But the community service officers come to our pantry. If there are so many pantries in this town and they aren't needed, then why do they have to come to Romeoville to get food?
But
Okay.
You know, another thing is that, one of the tenets of the township is that they have to provide general assistance and emergency assistance. By state law, we have to cover people who are in dire. When people ask and they say, well, I'll give you a perfect example. You know what the village says? Go over to the township. They can help you. Because we do have that. And if they qualify under the financial needs that the state has imposed, then we will help them once a year. We will help them with their bills and that. Okay? And so, you know, if you look around, okay, look at this Levy Center. Okay, this Levy Center was proposed by Sarah and Joseph Levy's foundation.
Food pantry
And they came to Bowling Brook
No.
and said they wanted to
See your
build a
agenda.
ladies' senior center here in Bowling Brook. The mayor said, no, that isn't what the village does. Okay? They sent them over to the township. They said they're the ones who work with seniors. Okay? So they came over here and the Levy Foundation donated $300,000 to build this building. The township put in $500,000 at the time, and the village basically donated the land because they had condemned all this whole stretch of land. Okay, so they donated the land. But you know, with this food pantry, we're not asking the village to put in a penny. In fact, they have cost us quite a bit of money and quite a bit of tax dollars that should not have been spent because of all the demands and all the questions and everything else that they have. And as you said, it is not free money. Okay, so it doesn't matter whether the village pays it or the township pays it. It still comes from the taxpayer. And that's exactly what our objection is to going to more and more hoops, because every time we go to a hoop, it's costly. And I can tell you right now, when these companies that see government, okay, it's almost like, oh boy, that's a free meal. We can charge them anything we want. And when you go to things like traffic studies and things like that, there's not many people you can go to.
Is that the update?
Does anyone else have any comments
Oh my God.
If anybody else know, I mean, in the audience, if you have, we're not in a public comment section, but we will entertain any comments anybody wants, or any questions or anything else. Go ahead.
Is that the food pantry update? Or are we
Yeah.
done airing the grievances? I mean,
That's
we're,
the food pantry.
okay, so we're done with that part of the agenda?
Actually, that's the only item on the agenda.
Okay, great, thank you.
Yeah, because if you remember, during the approval of the agenda, we eliminated the executive session.
I got lost somewhere in there with
Mhm.
the history.
This meeting was called a special meeting specifically on the food pantry.
And where was that discussed?
And
If you're in closed session,
I'm not clear on what the update is.
what?
I'm not clear on what the update is, except for that you're really upset with the village.
The update on what?
Food pantry.
Can you come to the microphone if you're going to speak, because we can't hear you well? Thank you.
I'm not clear on what the update on food pantry is, except that you're upset with the village.
We are contemplating litigation against the village. They have remanded it back to the zoning and planning commission to take another look, which we did not request.
Okay, what are you filing a lawsuit based on?
I'm sorry,
Why are you filing a lawsuit?
why do we want to?
Okay.
Because in our estimation, the village is discriminating against people, against the homeless, and against people who are in food insecurity.
Actually unhoused and the food's insecure.
It is not,
Got it.
the village has had discrimination suits against them on zoning like this before, specifically when they denied or stretched out zoning for that. The last one was 2011, and that was against the church.
The concerns are that these particular requests of more and more things are never going to stop. And so they will just keep asking for more and more, and that just costs all of us taxpayers more and more because they just keep asking for the same things and different things. And after a year, it's about time we move on from all that and start building a food pantry.
People coming in, like our state senator and state representative come in here, that people oppose food pantries and they're shocked.
But who's opposed it? No
What?
one's opposed the food pantry. No one has
Everyone-
opposed it.
everyone
No one.
says the
No
same
one
thing.
that I've heard at any of the meetings I've ever attended have opposed a food pantry here in Bolingbrook. What has been opposed is the location.
And what is wrong with the location?
Excuse me, as a resident of Town Center Park, I'm telling you, with the amount of traffic and activity that takes place in that particular area, or this particular area of Bolingbrook, it does not seem as a safe or fit place to put additional people coming in, trucks coming in, activities coming in to an already over-congested, populated place. I mean, we have vital things happening within this perimeter.
What is supposed to be, okay, that land, the whole quadrant right there is commercial property. What is supposed to be put in it?
I have no idea. Something that will cause less,
It's zoned for a grocery store.
right, it can be zoned for whatever. I really don't care, actually, I
See,
really
there's another
don't.
fire station across the street.
Right, but that was there before this was brought up, sir.
Mhm.
That fire station has been there for how many years?
I don't know how many years.
Okay, well,
but they-
investigate
no, if you're talking
that.
about
These are
traffic,
established things that are not gonna change. What's changing is you trying to bring in something that isn't necessarily needed in this particular spot. Period.
It is not needed by you because you don't need food
I don't mean
pantry.
necessarily needed by the population of Bolingbrook, but excuse me, when have we started hand delivering everything to everyone? You know, excuse me, but self-sufficiency to a certain point. I'm not trying to say that I would want to see anybody inhibited from eating or drinking or living or comfortably, but everybody can't live in $1 million house. Everybody doesn't have a budget for $1 million or $100,000 or $50,000 or $25,000. You have to live within the means that you have or what is offered to you and make an effort to sustain or get it. What I don't understand is all the rolling out of the red carpet, and I don't mean that in a negative sense, but in a sense of that people have to take responsibilities to a certain degree. We all are responsible. You know, I could be, tomorrow, I might need help from the food pantry. I don't know. You know, nobody knows.
Okay,
But-
let me answer something. Do you really think that the people who go to the food pantry now in Romeo really want to go to a food pantry?
I don't know. I don't know.
I can tell you.
I don't know. Okay.
Many of them are ashamed of having to go to it, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And what we've done down here, and we've tried very hard, is to make it as easy, convenient, and as pleasant as possible. We don't want to shame any.
I'm not saying-
Let me, I listen to you,
Oh.
okay? Okay. You know, these people will not go to food pantries because they're ashamed that they need food pantries.
Okay.
And see, my attitude towards government is the government should do for the people what they cannot do for themselves. And if they need food assistance, okay, and believe it or not, 20% of the families in Bolingbrook qualify
Okay.
for food assistance, okay? So there is a dire need for food assistance, and it's not going to end up, it's not going to end in a year or 18 months or 24 months. It's going to be consistent.
It's gonna get worse. Right.
Okay.
Right, exactly.
And thus, why should we not provide these services to people
Correct.
have to go there too, and sadly, I hope nothing like that happens to anybody in this room or throughout Bolingbrook. But we're not rolling out the rest of I know how you intended that to sound, but we're not
Well,
saying everybody come here, and as the other gentleman talked about, it was that people would misuse coming to the food pantry or use it when they didn't need to. And does that happen in every area of business? Probably so. But we do look at that at the food pantry and make sure that the people coming through are supposed to be coming through. And again, they don't just come there for their health. In fact, they actually do come for their health so that they can eat
correct.
and feed their children. And some people, like you said, they should do for themselves. Do you believe everyone can do for themselves and that circumstances don't come up that cause you now to be unable to do for yourself and plan your budget accordingly? Catastrophic illness, family member that needs help, losing your job, all of those things can happen. And I think, food, we're just trying to give people food and we're trying to move it to where it's needed. And we're going to close the other one, so that's going to help with the finances and everything, because we're not going to have 2 food pantries, and we're established we can't. We cannot afford that, nor do we want to increase the tax levy so that we can afford 2 pantries.
But I was also understood to believe that the internet, where food can be delivered to people that don't have the ability to come, they can order online or call. I'm not exactly sure about the calling, but our library is a wonderful resource for information, guidance, and all this type of stuff, So,
Can you speak to that with the online food ordering, Jackie? Can you speak to that at all?
The online food services for people who do not have, there are 2 areas in Will County where there is a significant amount of families with either only 1 car or no
that's
cars.
all I had, one
Huh?
car. That's all I had, 1 car.
1 car.
Right.
But these are families with 2 adults in it. Okay.
I had a family.
Okay. And what it comes out to be is those 2 areas have to be Joliet. You can always say Joliet first, that they would.
I lived in Joliet.
Okay, and then the area from Canterbury east in DuPage Township. Now, the county has done extensive studies on all this stuff. And if you want, we can get you a copy of the study.
I would love it. I really would. Yes, I would like
Just
a
send
copy.
me with your email address and I'll email it to you. It's available on the Will County website. It's
Okay.
access.
Okay, good enough. Thank you.
So that is it. Now, one of the comments that was made to me by the administration was, well, why do we have so many problems in historic Bolingbrook where there's no parking in it? And the reason that is that in these houses,
Congestion.
historic Bolingbrook, there's 2 and 3 generations.
I beg your pardon?
Huh?
I missed what you
There's
said.
2 or 3 generations in the
Historic Bolingbrook, which is old Bolingbrook, okay?
Oh,
Okay.
Well-
There is a huge parking problem there, okay, that the village has said constantly. Now, the reason, if you go to many of these places, you will find in these houses, there's 2 and 3 generations living in the house, because they
that's
can't
how I
afford-
grew up, sir.
Huh?
That's how I grew up, with
Okay,
2 or
see,
3
that's-
generations.
so
Yeah, I
there
did.
is only- And see,
And we
one of the
did
things
just
we
fine.
did when we first came in,
Thank God for you.
Indeed.
One of the first things we did when we came in the office here was we opened up the food pantry on Saturday morning, okay? Because the hours were from, was it 10 to 2? Or
No,
not?
9 to 2, but nothing on Saturday.
Yeah, 9 to 2 on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and nothing on Saturday. Well, what happens if you have 1 car and that's being used by the man of the house to go to work during the week? They can't come to get food at
Or the
work.
woman of the house.
Thank you.
Okay.
Whoever's in
Well,
charge.
what it comes out to
Thank
be
you.
is that we wanted to make sure that there was time on the weekends where they could come and get food at the food pantry if they didn't have transportation during the week. Okay? And so that's why we extended it there. But we want, our objective is to make it as simple and as easy for the people to use the food pantry without shame, without indignation, or anything else like that.
Can tonight
Yes.
was locations. So
Correct.
can we talk locations
Yes.
more?
Yes,
So
very
the
about
people who feel like they don't have a problem with feeding people, but it's the location.
Correct.
Give me some suggestions. What's some of the locations you think?
The
we
old
should
St.
have to
Dominic's
feed?
School, that's completely vacant.
Where?
The old
Sorry, I
St.
didn't hear.
Dominic's School. Maybe the
St.
diocese could
Dominic's
use some money. It's huge.
Diocese hasn't put that up for sale. that I know of.
Did you ask? I mean, we asked the village for free stuff. Did we ask the diocese? I don't know.
And then go-
It's not our job to tell you where to put your food pantry.
No.
No,
But when
That's
the,
not what you're saying.
But when the
You don't have a
residents
problem with it
whose
because
lives
it's
that
the location.
affects-
So I'm just asking for feedback on locations.
when the residents whose lives that affects come to you with input and it's blatantly ignored, or they're made to feel like their input
Disrespected.
doesn't matter, or your
Disrespected.
comments are disrespectful in
Very
return.
disrespectful.
Where
did the meeting-
Where's the discussion?
Were you at the town hall meeting we held on the food pantry?
Yes.
Hmm?
Yes.
Okay, we explained all the finances.
Yeah, I didn't know about
As far as you say, it's not your job as far as finding the location, that's actually true. It's our job.
Correct.
And we did it.
And we don't, and people don't agree with it, so they are using civil
Some people-
discourse
we have
to,
these signatures
let the
from
village
over
know.
700 people
I heard that
want
last
it
night.
located.
there are 73,000 residents in Bolingbrook. I'm glad you got 700.
Yeah.
That's right. And how many did they help that objected to
Who's
the
they?
location?
Again,
Well, I-
we, them, they,
Yeah.
I.
How many
No, the
people
man in the
objected to
house.
the location?
Well, I know that I do, and you do.
Yeah,
You do.
well, that's
my-
3 out of 73,000.
And it's not for lack of hearing you, but as we said, we did look at other locations that we thought were plausible.
Right, but-
And one, we were turned down by the village, and we
Right.
was talking about the village. The
So
other
what was their
was-
reason that they turned you down? Why did they say no? What was the
They gave you a
reason?
reason why they turned us down to use,
Yeah.
next door to the township, that the village. said
Exactly.
why, 'cause they don't have
No,
to.
they didn't. They didn't give us, they said, no, that's not acceptable.
Oh, it's okay for the
When I
village,
asked to have a meeting.
but not for the residents that live in Town Center Park?
When
that
I asked,
feel
wait,
that-
please, you keep
Again,
on talking
I'm
over
just
it.
trying to make a comment, sir. I'm just trying to, I've listened to you babble all night long
That's because
about
I'm the
things.
supervisor.
Right, understood, but sir, again, not pertaining to your agenda here.
So,
Yes, it is.
I'm trying to get back to the agenda with the update, with the locations, where you guys don't have the feedback, anybody have feedback on the locations? Because that's the main reason, right?
Right,
And you can't. go on the
right,
website,
something more
you have to go on the
appropriate.
east side.
So like where?
Appropriately.
Where?
Okay, what about the old tile building that sat empty
She-
for, I don't know how
Oh,
long?
53?
Off of
He was
53?
right. He told you about why we didn't get that location.
Can I explain?
We went there.
We contacted the developer who owns that shopping center, okay? And we.
Where Century Tile was.
Correct.
And it was
Too expensive?
Mr. Achu, okay, he's the one who's the agent for that. They didn't want to have anything to do with us moving into the shopping center, in any building whatsoever, okay? They did not want to have taxing or sales,
They wanted to make money for the
Generated something that,
buildings.
oh,
okay?
Okay.
That was absolutely, we checked the law all around 53.
I have no
all
idea.
the-
I don't know.
All the developers and that, nobody wanted to have anything like that. Or else, some of the small buildings didn't meet our, we have
specifications.
requirements.
Okay.
Okay, we went through all of that.
Uh-huh.
You're right, it was our job to look for a location. And
It
we
isn't
did.
your job? No?
It is our job.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, it's our job to look for a location, and we did look. We
Uh-huh.
looked not only for rental property, we looked for vacant land, and we looked at buildings that were there that we could buy.
You know, sometimes
and we
that takes
could not
years.
get.
You know what I mean? It takes years, you know. You
We
don't,
can't wait years, Steve.
right, but are they starving now as we are sitting
Yes.
here? No.
Yes, people are starving
Is
now.
Romeoville closed? Are they not in operation at this point in time? I mean, this is what, you know, it
Is the
seems to me
village
that
open
there's
at this time?
the scare or fright or, you know, the big bad boogeyman or whatever you want to say. I don't know. But it just seems like the point of the purpose of all of this is to help families. So to me, not only helping families in need, but helping families that reside in certain areas of where the prospective buildings are to be built. You know, we should be considered as well. This is impacting our lives and how we live and the quality of our lives by, again, introducing more into an already congested area. And I just don't seem to understand why this group, or whoever that takes the assessment, can't understand or see on a daily basis what happens here. It's very congested. It's very busy. All kinds of operational things that are happening. Things that are impeding, like weather, emergencies, whatever else. It just seems to me that that is not an optimal place to place something else that will draw in more and more people. I just don't think that that's correct.
More and more people.
You're talking about it's not an optimal place.
I beg your pardon?
No place in this entire world.
I don't know about the world, because I just live right
Well,
here.
I'm telling you what, you say it's not an optimal place, okay?
No, it isn't, in my opinion.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
See, we were elected to do a job, okay? And we told them what we were expecting to do to help the people that were in need in this township.
Mm-hmm.
And we have fulfilled that. We have pushed it, and we are very, very adamant about helping people. Okay?
Right.
Now, as far as you're talking about that not everyone has $1 million house. Well, we've been told it should be put over like west of Weber Road at the $1 million houses out there. And you know what? Nobody out there needs a food pantry.
You don't know that.
They need it over on the east side.
You don't know that.
And we are,
We do. We have a data.
and
Okay.
we are,
The census data shows it.
Okay.
we checked where our, within 3 months of coming to office, what?
On the pie chart. Yeah,
Within 3 months of coming to office, we did a survey
great.
at the food pantry, found out exactly where the people who were using the food pantry came from.
Mm-hmm.
And we know exactly what area of the township to the T where they use it, because in order to use our food pantry, excuse me, they have to sign up. They cannot just come in. They have to give us their name. They have to give us their address and everything. They have to then confirm, income and everything else like that. So we know all that. We have all the data, and that's what we based it on. Okay? Now, if you look at the poverty level in Bolingbrook, as I think, what's her name last night? She mentioned.
Oh, 20%, yeah, Carolina mentioned it.
Yeah, the three tracts where poverty is the highest, okay, in the Bolingbrook area surround this area right here. You're talking about living over across the street there.
I do.
There are quite a few people over there who use our food pantry.
And that's okay.
Well,
Right.
it is
Again,
actually-
it's okay. But that doesn't mean, just because they use it, it should, like door-to-door delivery. Again, it has to be, it seems to me it should be feasible, really. I mean, I do understand trying to making things convenient. But, it's not convenient for me to drive to Jewel, or me to drive to Aldi, or me to drive wherever I need to go to shop. You know what I mean?
The areas that we deliver the most to are like Greenleaf, especially Greenleaf, because the people are there, many of them don't have cars, and they're basically housebound.
Okay.
And we actually come and deliver food to the seniors in Greenleaf and in the other areas. What?
Maybe it would help if we gave this resident the results of a traffic study, where the traffic study professional who studied this area said that the impact of the food pantry would be less than if an office building was built on that corner. And I think the only thing, honestly, though, that might make some of the residents happy is if the village of Bolingbrook just buys that property. But they've had the opportunity to buy it for 50 years, and they haven't bought it.
They don't need it, and they don't want it.
But I'm more than, that would be my suggestion.
Would you like a copy of the traffic study?
Sure,
I can tell you right now.
sure.
I've read it and I don't understand it.
Yeah, well, you know, I don't know how much of it I would
We're
understand,
making
but
an assumption that
again,
it's gonna be extremely busy here, right? That's this
well, but
location.
it already
Because
is,
it's gonna be
ma'am.
too busy.
It already
But
is
it's gonna make it
extremely.
even busier.
Exactly, well, isn't that like common sense?
It's not gonna, no.
Oh,
It's not.
okay.
It's
Okay.
just give it up.
No, it's not assuming anything.
You don't know though.
You know, it's like a cup of water. You can only pour so much in a cup until it's full. Same with property, land, whatever. You know, you can only put so many things in a specific area. And when is it considered full?
Well, I think, you know, at this point, we need to be heard, we've discussed, now what?
Okay. Does
Two
anyone-
locations. I was looking for, I mean, from all the comments last night.
Right, but
Here's
I,
a
you know,
nice
I don't know.
location is a
I
problem.
don't have a geographic,
Where's a good location?
well, Cheddar's. Well, there you go. There you go. It's open for business, or will be at the end of the month. There you
They
go.
close.
That would be a,
They close.
dispensary probably.
Yeah, well,
Okay. Well, if there are no more comments,
yeah.
I mean, give us some suggestions.
We've asked for
Locations,
we've
we've
done
done our due diligence.
Yeah, okay.
Regarding locations.
Okay,
Well,
great.
You have looked at for a good location. We have looked for a good location, and that is.
Understood. I know, yeah, over a year,
You
right.
said 2 years.
Okay, great. Wonderful.
Obviously, it's not going to make them happy, but, you know,
Some people.
litigation may be required.
Some people are.
Amen, you
really
sure
happy.
can. That's right. You sure
And those are
can.
the people we wanna make happy.
Yeah,
We want to hear residents, but now we need to decide what to do next.
yeah, adjourn.
Okay. Well, without any, no more comments, I would entertain